So things are changing. Even in the car industry, even in the restaurant industry. So people are moving towards something new. So the wine is something new, which in India or all over the world, most of the people, because it started from Europe, Europeans, they had pretty good knowledge, but then it moved from to the other parts of the world. So when this kind of product moves to the new part, you need educators to educate the people.
In fact, my wife was just mentioning earlier that in this show called what is it, Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives, Maheep is planning to do a wine tasting course or something like that. So that's what you're describing. So
I hope that she would do with me. I hope.
let's hope she watches it. Okay, now we'll get into the opportunities, and also as we discussed earlier, you also want to brainstorm a little bit about what you could do in the future, like in terms of your online work and all that, and we'll try to do that.
Right.
Okay, thank you. और ये
Gaurav, full name?
Gaurav Thapar.
Karan Thapar's cousin.
लोगों को करण थापर ही माल पता है. You know what? Bhagat Singh के साथ there were two other guys. Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru. Sukhdev was Thapar. The full name is Sukhdev Thapar. Karan Thapar है.
ठीक है, मैं बात करता हूँ. कंफर्म करता हूँ.
Yeah, this is fine.
I'm going to do it again now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
तेरा क्या ये चला जाएगा.
Bangalore airport.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. Okay, yeah, we'll do it again. Yeah.
So it was going well.
It is
What
fine.
we did?
It was fine, except that I don't know why the video went
Okay
off.
then start again.
Alright. Hey guys, what is up? I'm Salman and I host a podcast called Salman Needs a Job, and I have with me Gaurav here. We are here at Gokarna at Middle Beach at Sunset Cafe, and we were hanging out like yesterday at this hostel nearby. And Gaurav is a wine consultant, so I wanted to actually talk to him about his job and also pick his brain on what's happening in the hospitality industry and all that. So how are you?
I'm doing well.
Now let's talk about your experience with wine and how you got started. Before that, just because we are talking about climate, I just want to start about that. Does climate affect your work?
COVID climate, yes, but not the other climates.
Okay, it doesn't.
It doesn't, because most of the events happens indoor. Most of the wine tastings or wine events, and people usually do manage all this stuff. Even if it is raining, it's fine. But if you have already planned a festival or something like that, then it may get cancelled. But yeah, you can just postpone it. But this COVID thing, you can't avoid it.
Now tell me about your job as a wine consultant. What do you do? What does a wine consultant do?
Okay, so I'm basically I call myself a beverage consultant, because I don't do just wine. I do wine plus spirits. Spirits I recently started, but my so what wine consultant does is basically, let's say this cafe is here, and then if they are planning to have wine in the menu, and if they take a license, and then they need somebody knowledgeable who knows about the wines, what kind of wines needs to be purchased, what wine would go with the food, what kind of marketing wine events you can do for them. You conduct wine tastings, you call people, these kind of stuff. And plus, apart from that, wine consultants can also consult to the companies, the wine companies, in terms of they can be their brand ambassadors. They can just go and then talk about the company, about the tastings. It's more of marketing stuff also.
About the first part, so your job is more around when they are about to get started, or is it like a consistent thing?
It's more when it gets started, but it's always a continuous stuff, because new wines keep coming in the market, and that palette also keep changing of the people. So it's a continuous evolution.
Okay.
Like every restaurant, most of the restaurants, they change their food menu also every year.
Okay.
Right. So once you change food menu, you need to change your wines also, because those wines should go with the food. So yeah, and also the price also changes sometimes. So the cost also comes into it.
Okay. So tell me, wine consultant, there are how many wine consultants in India? Just asking randomly, what do you?
Not many. but there are quite few now these days.
You-
But
you-
mostly in the big cities, mostly in the Bangalore, Delhi, and Mumbai. So you can't expect a wine consultant to be here in Gokarna or say in Ludhiana or these small cities.
We'll get to how you became a wine consultant and the path to get there. Before that, what do you think is the opportunity for someone who's exploring this area, who's interested
For a
in
wine
wines and-
professional.
yeah, wine professional, yeah. And
Okay.
also around what you're doing.
Right. So shall I start with how my journey began?
Sure. Let's do that.
See, I'm basically from Punjab. I studied agriculture. I've been a science student. I wanted to do something into the fruits, and like most of the Punjabis, I wanted to go abroad.
Canada. Just kidding.
Canada. It's not Canada. It's Canada. Okay. So then for some reasons I chose New Zealand, and then I studied about the New Zealand, what kind of industry is growing over there. So there was
So your inspiration started with agriculture and the aspiration to go abroad.
from agriculture, I wanted to go abroad and to study about this, something interesting, something related to fruits. And then I chose New Zealand, and New Zealand wine industry was growing and booming, and that even now New Zealand is doing pretty good wines. And so I said, okay, let me explore. So I went there to study science. There was a program called Graduate Diploma in Viticulture and Oenology. So it's viticulture is basically the science of growing grapes, and enology is how you make wine. So I came from the science and production background. I worked there for a couple of years, and then I moved back to India for certain reasons, and then I started working in Nasik. From Nasik, I moved to Bangalore because in India, wine production happens only in two states. One is Maharashtra, the second is Karnataka. So after from Nasik, I moved to Karnataka for the production reasons. Then, around I guess 5 years back, I quit my production job again for certain reasons, and then I started exploring into the marketing side and the training side.
So before this you were in production space.
I was into production.
So you
I
were
worked in the farms. I worked in the factories.
Oh, wow.
I have made wines. I mean, I help people to
So
make wines.
as a consultant, your knowledge is pretty deep because you've actually been in the trenches making wine and all that.
It does help. It does help. If I do have that science background, so I've studied science whole my life. So even if when I do food and wine pairing, I go in deep into the science of that. I mean, that's just how my mind works. I think that's how it should be. So yeah, it does help.
Tell me more. You got into on the marketing side, right? Tell me about that evolution.
Yes. So I started conducting these kind of trainings. So there's a wine academy there in Bangalore. It's called Enotica by Madhuluka. So they were also looking for somebody like me, and then at that time, and then we got in touch through a common friend, and then I became the trainer over there. So we started conducting courses. Then I was working with Karnataka Wine Board, which is the government body in the Karnataka state, and then I designed a course for them, a wine course, which was the first of its kind indigenous course in India. There was no such wine tasting course in India. People had been doing the courses, but those courses were affiliated from the foreign bodies, like there's a WSET or CMS, which is from the USA. And that became a success, partly because the course was good, but mainly because the wine board was associated with it. So I've been doing that from last 4-5 years. Because of this COVID, we are not doing it. And plus, after that, I also, to improve my knowledge, I did WSET courses. So I've done so there are 4 levels in the WSET.
What is that?
WSET is London-based organization. It's called Wine and Spirit Education Trust, and they are present in more than 70 or maybe 90 countries in the world, and they conduct these wine tasting courses. And I think probably it was the first organization.
Wine tasting itself is like such a technical thing that you have to learn so much.
Yes, now
What are you
it is.
contributing through wine tasting? What is it? Are you grading the wine and all that?
People do that also. All the wine companies, they do have the tasters, but most of the tasters are involved in the production only. But some wineries, they have special tasters. They come and then taste the wines and then grade the wines and then tell them the blending, that okay, this wine is not good, or you have to blend this wine. So a lot of blending happens.
So you kind of ensure, you try to help as to how to make the
Not
wine
me,
good.
but
As-
if
taster,
the
I'm
person
saying.
the person who is employed with the company as a taster, they do that. But wine tasting courses, mainly it is becoming more important these days. because I think it's happening with everything, with the food also. A lot of people did not know much about the exotic foods, like say a few years back. Now everybody is talking about sushis and then all this hummus and pita and right. So things are changing. Even in the car industry, even in the restaurant industry. So people are moving towards something new. So the wine is something new, which in India or all over the world, most of the people, because it started from Europe, Europeans, they had pretty good knowledge, but then it moved from to the other parts of the world. So when this kind of product moves to the new part, you need educators to educate the people.
In fact, my wife was just mentioning earlier that in this show called what is it, Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives, Maheep is planning to do a wine tasting course or something like that. So that's what you're describing. So
I hope that she would do with me. I hope.
let's hope she watches it. Okay, now we'll get into the opportunities, and also as we discussed earlier, you also want to brainstorm a little bit about what you could do in the future, like in terms of your online work and all that, and we'll try to do that.
Right.
Before that, I just want to find out a little bit of some intricacies in the wine industry, what you're facing right now, maybe because of COVID or in general in India. What do you think?
In general, we are still very poor country, and wine is still very expensive in India. For two reasons. One is the Indian wine production is very less. When the production is low, then the cost goes high. The second reason is that imported wines which are coming into India, government has put huge amount of taxes on that. So that's the another. So the wine is quite
Because of alcohol anyway, it's part of that, is it?
yeah. So and the second is alcohol is a taboo, which is now actually going slowly and slowly. And the lack of education. These are the three main difficulties we face in the wine industry.
And what has been the response in the industry like?
No, it's growing. It's growing. I think it's the fastest growing industry in alcohol. Like you have beer industry, you have wine industry.
Really? More than beer?
No, I'm talking about the growth.
Rate,
So beer is already
beer
huge.
Like in Bangalore and all, there's so much.
No, beer is already huge in India, and the India is the world's biggest whiskey market, and still it's growing, but the growth is like every 1% or 2% or 3%, because it is reaching the saturation.
Of course, like the contribution is from our friends from yesterday who bought like 21 bottles of whiskey from Bangalore and came.
Right. So to tell you a fact, in France, the per capita wine consumption is around 45 liters per year per person. In India, it's 10 ml, which is 1 tablespoon. So what the people who are connected with the wine industry, what we are hoping that if we bring, because we are huge in numbers. So from 10 ml, if we can go up to say 100 ml, then probably we will cross many European countries, and India would become a hub, and it's increasing. So earlier it was 2 ml, and then 5 ml, then 10 ml, probably 50. It's still very less as compared to whiskey, but it's growing.
No, it's a good place to segue into opportunities and brainstorm about what your plans and all that, because you're saying that wine is a growing industry. Okay, now tell me, like, what are you thinking in terms of career for yourself next, and then I'll maybe run by some ideas and all that.
Okay, so my major career is consultancy and trainings. I conduct a lot of trainings, events, courses.
In-person courses.
Yeah, in-person courses, offline courses. So that's what I had been doing. With the COVID, the question is this: then how to do that? And a lot of people are moving online, and I am still old school. I don't use much of social media also, and I'm not very tech savvy person. So that's the problem I'm facing at this moment. How to start? Maybe you can guide me with that.
For sure. Listen, did you have something in mind? No.
No, I know that many people are doing it, but I just don't want to do that way.
Are there any like wine influencers that you follow and all that?
Yeah, a lot of people.
Like
International or Indian? In India, we recent international. Jancis Robinson is there.
So that is your place to start. That's your place to start.
But she doesn't conduct these kind of courses. She's like too big.
No.
I've taken the biggest name.
As in, what is the work that some others are doing in the space? So that's
In the online space.
Yeah. Is she online?
No, she's too big. She handles the Buckingham Palace, the Queen's cellar.
Okay. She's like a popular.
She has the order of the Commonwealth or something like that. That's like highest order in England.
So what I was trying to suggest is that
she's MW. She's the I think world's first MW and MS. So now you will ask what is MW.
so people from the wine industry who have searched on YouTube and they're like, they must be thinking this guy doesn't know her. What an idiot. Yeah, so she's like that.
So MW is something like look, most of the people don't know. I also came to know a few years back only when I came into the wine industry. So MW is a kind of qualification which is called Master of Wine. It started 40 years back and till now only some 300 odd plus people are MWs in the world.
Wow.
We recently got India's first MW.
So is one of your goals also to do that?
I don't know. I mean, it's too big. It's too But I think we should congratulate Indians and congratulations to that lady. Her name is Sonal Holland.
Okay.
She lives in Mumbai. She's India's first MW, and many other Indians would go. I think I know few people who are actually pursuing it. It's quite tough. It's
Mine. Yeah.
thank you.
So I'm saying that's a place to start to look at the work of other people, especially people who have an online presence. What is it
Alright.
like? Okay, one. Second, see what you're describing is niche, very niche. Okay, your area of expertise is very niche, and there is super duper interest because, as we just mentioned,
Kapoor.
Maheep also. So there is interest in that. To begin with, like right out of the gate, I would say just look at Airbnb experiences. Okay, over there you always find, whenever you go to any city, you'll find these wine tasting experiences people are doing in the US and all that.
Right.
Okay. And now because of COVID, now all these experiences have become online. So
Right.
people are providing these Airbnb experiences through online media.
Right.
Okay. And people are charging shitloads for it actually.
Right.
Because in person they were charging what, 7,000 rupees and all.
Right.
Online also they're charging the same thing.
I think that sometimes they charge more.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, in the wine industry, when you are doing online, you are not supposed to give wines to them. So the cost has actually come down
Okay. Yeah.
and you're charging more.
See, I don't know specifically
Okay.
how it is,
Okay.
about how they're charging. But that's something you should look into because
I should, but I just don't know. I mean, see,
Yeah.
I've never done that. And I would probably do that. But the question which comes in my mind in this is this, that in the wine, it's more of practical stuff. It's like, if you don't have wine in front of you, how can you do the tasting course?
Yes, like, you don't mind.
Yeah.
What is included in this training? Like, you tell them how to taste it, or
Yes.
like
So
what to
that-
have with the wine.
So that's the major part of the training. It's not like we only tell the how to taste. We talk about the production, we talk about the wine and food. Pairing also, we give them the basic idea that what exactly wine is, what's the difference between these wines, what are the production, how production happens, and how production makes difference in the quality of the wine.
Okay.
And then we do the tastings. Because simply you do the theory and then you have not tasted it. I mean, I can talk about this pineapple or what this pineapple juice, right? I can talk about this pineapple. I can tell Salman that pineapple is like, oh, it's sweet and sour, it's amazing, it makes your mouth watery. And he will say, okay, Neebu bhi yahi karta hai.
Bilkul.
Right. He would only understand pineapple when he'll have it.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Right.
Next, we'll go to the next idea. Now,
No, but I'm not saying you can't do it. I mean,
No,
still,
that's simple.
there's another way which people are actually exploring, that you take the online course, the theory part, and then for the tasting, you come one day, you come for the tastings only. So that's another thing which people are.
no, I find that I find that you are kind of restricted in. You consider this a huge challenge, which is tasting.
I think
I think you should not. You should not because
that's the one. I'll tell you the other challenge. Okay,
the reason why I say you should not is because you can totally design it to be made available through wines that are universally available in India.
Yeah.
Okay, that is available in every city. So you can
No, it's
design
not.
your
that's the other problem.
example
It's
Sula
not.
and all the.
No, like in Chennai.
So wine tastings
Chin-
has to be done with these set of certain type of.
Okay, yes. So we decide the wines according to the course. Like say if I want to tell you about the sweet wine. I should have a sweet wine. I can't just give you a dry wine. If I'm talking about white wine, you should have white wine, red wine, a sweet wine, a sparkling, or from different place. This is a Nasik wine. This is a
not
Karnataka
something
wine.
that
This is
can
from
be
French wine.
sourced.
This is a German wine.
Okay. I think there's a bigger opportunity here right now. Okay, I'll tell you. Something beyond Airbnb experiences. See, I don't think if you look for a wine consultant online, I've not looked into it.
Wine
but I think,
trainer online. Consultancy
Yeah.
you can still do.
yeah, wine trainer, wine courses. I think it's not much available. Would you say in India? In India,
No, now they are actually exploring. Many people. WSET has started doing it. This is the first time in the COVID. Actually,
still, even if there are, there's definitely space for you. And especially considering this challenge of not being able to source these wines locally, you could actually price your whatever you're offering content online to be much higher by providing this extra service of actually sending out these samples of wines and all to their homes.
that's another option. WSET has been doing this online courses, and then they suggest one option is they suggest the wines to the people that you buy these wines, but the problem is those wines are not available. But that problem exists even if you do offline.
Okay.
Because the wine is not available. The second thing is they can actually send the samples, but those samples needs to be prepared by the companies. I can just buy the wine and then prepare the sample, because you aren't supposed to open. So wine basically is a perishable product, and many people, that's another myth we have, that
I thought
old
yeah.
wine is better. That's again, that's not true.
Okay.
But so there is a huge class on that, so we can't take that class right now. So you can't open the bottle and then transfer it to other bottle and then send and then expect that it's same. It's not. The wine has changed. So if let's say
Yeah, they say that it's also influenced by the glass you drink and all that.
yeah, but that's another thing. Yes, glasses also. The exposure, the transportation also. During the transportation also, the wine characteristics changes. So let's say if I send you the sample, now the sample which I am having can be completely different from the sample which you are having. I would be describing the wine in completely different way, and you would understand very wrong,
Okay.
right? So that's another challenge we face.
Next. This is a little bit of bare bones, lot of hustle idea. Because you have all this knowledge, you can express this knowledge through like an Instagram page or something like that. I'm sure there are wine pages, awesome wine pages, but still, maybe a little bit tailored towards wines in India or something like that.
Yeah. That
So-
we can do.
Yeah. And I don't think in that space specifically there may not be much. You could actually put your face out there. See, you can think about what is the knowledge you hold, okay? Whether it is specifically about this winemaking and tasting and things like that, and also in addition to that, showcasing the different wines in India,
Yeah.
talking about it,
To build my own
a
brand.
little bit like a
Yeah.
blog,
Yeah.
But think about it more from the technology that is available today, whether it is Instagram or TikTok. Whatever is available
TikTok
today.
is gone now.
Yeah, it's gone. So you could actually, if you're able, it's gonna be like a little bit of a long game. You have to pursue it as
That I do
a
understand.
hobby,
That I do
and
understand.
you'll
I
have
do
to take it up
understand.
for a year. Or
I think I'll be forced to start that. That's going to happen.
I think you could reap benefits. Next, you could start a podcast. Okay.
Yeah, that's another thing on my mind. But I'm not very good with these kind of stuff. And
Not
I
true.
mean, you.
Not true. I simply wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
You're very good. First of all, you can, the listeners, please validate it on the comments. And on top of that, that is just a reservation you have within yourself. Once you
Yeah.
come out of it, like right now, are you feeling uncomfortable? I don't think so, right?
No.
Yeah. So once you get that out of the way, just get the
Right.
like that reservation out of the way and just pursue it. Now, when it comes to the podcast, you can explore beyond wines itself. You can think about hospitality and spirits
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
these things
yeah,
that
yeah.
the knowledge that you hold. Because I'm sure there are many beer podcasts and things like that, but your vantage point is like very unique
Yeah.
because you are specialized and you are trained and you have worked in this area. You have seen, you're exposed to so much in
true,
terms of
true,
culture
true,
and
true.
and trainings. You've
and
done
especially in the
trainings too.
wines, it's basically the if you're talking the wine tasting questions, yes, we do have problems, but in the wines there are so many other stories to tell.
Okay.
It's beautiful stories, like there's a champagne story, how champagne started. There is a story of Bordeaux. There is a how Bordeaux became famous, how German wines or the French wines or the Spanish wines came into the limelight, how Americans, there's a Hollywood movie, Bottle Shock, which was about the wine competition between American and French wines in 1975. Amazing story. So there are so many stories to tell, which I think people can do with the podcast or YouTube videos, which will help people, if not be wine taster, but at least they'll get attracted to learn more about the wines.
This is the one. So let's narrow in on this. Okay, I'll tell you how to do it now, because clearly there are stories that you can explain through this. So now let me explain to you a little bit about how you could implement podcasting with you around your brand. Okay. Of wine.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you mentioned stories. Okay. Around how champagne started and things like that. So those are solo episodes. Those are narratives that you are researching on your own, finding out about this, and actually talking into the mic and describing it to the world. Okay.
Right.
So like a title about how champagne started or something like that. So
Right.
people would listen to it, being enticed about wanting to find out about this. 1, 2, interviews. Okay. Speaking to other people, either in the industry or people who are interested, like your customers.
Right.
Okay. So interviews, and once you do these two things, it opens a world of opportunities. You never know.
Very, very
Within
true.
1 year, you'll be like doing
Completely
a
agree.
fitness podcast in the same. No, you won't. But there's going to be a lot of content for you to explore. Okay,
Right.
once you get started. Next, the podcast is something you would do. You would spend a lot of time on. Okay, it will not bring you immediate money or something like that.
Yeah, that's
But
the concern.
no, it should not be, because it is going to give you like you're going to build a brand. Okay?
I completely
You're
agree.
going to do thought leadership around your knowledge, and this knowledge, even though it is not like millions of people listening and all that, still, even if it is 100 people, and that could totally convert into 3 paying clients for something that you offer. Okay, like a consistent consultancy or something like that.
Okay.
It is going to bring you opportunities.
Okay, I have a
That's what
question
I'm
for
saying.
you.
Yeah.
Tell me, do you think that if somebody starts a podcast, then that podcast can only be successful if that person is completely dedicated to it, or it's a full-time job for that, or if you're just simply doing it like say part-time, do you think that can be successful?
$1 million question. Yeah. So, see, I run a podcast. Not a successful one. Okay. One thing is patience. Okay, you need to be patient with what you're doing, and it's gonna take a long time.
Right.
But that said, people that have been patient, who have been running podcasts for a couple of years, are still not making money, especially in India. While at the same time, in the US and all that, a lot
They
of
do,
podcasts
yeah,
that you
yeah.
listen to, they all have ads and they will be making money. But I don't know whether that they run their livelihoods off it. But there are many podcasters who in the US and all that.
Yeah.
I can yes.
But that's their full-time job.
They do podcasts with that. No, it's you don't monetize it simply through. Okay, let me just. No, let's finish it. 29 minutes. So you should not expect to monetize it directly off the
Immediately, yeah.
podcast. Not immediately. You can not directly through the podcast. You need to have some other strategy because podcast is kind of it is gonna give you like a way for people to learn about you.
Right.
Now, how you monetize off that is a different story, because you are gaining attention, and attention is huge currency. People like Joe Rogan, for example, we were discussing earlier. His podcast is now Spotify exclusive, and he's apparently been like $100 million. So podcasters do make shitloads of money.
True.
Tim Ferriss, okay, he makes okay. To talk about monetization within podcasting, example Tim Ferriss, he has ads within his podcast, okay, shitloads of money. He talks about it transparently. That's one. Now he has a newsletter.
Yeah.
So within the newsletter, also he's going to be promoting his own products and things like that.
Yeah.
No, whatever else that
I know. People are making money
affiliates
with the
you can have.
newsletter. See, like Jancis Robinson, the name which I took earlier, she has a website, and you have to pay to subscribe to exclusive newsletters from her website. You have to pay to know her views about particular wines.
Okay.
You know, so but she's very big.
So listen, you
And-
should
yeah.
you should check out the playbook of people that are doing in some other industry. Okay, like I'm sure this person herself sounds interesting, but also like in hospitality space and all, there's gonna be a lot of influence.
Yeah.
You should sign up to their newsletter one. You should check out their podcast another one. You should look at the courses they're doing. You should look at Udemy and search for what are the courses available online. You should look at YouTube and see what are the kind of things that are garnering a lot of views.
Yeah.
You'll identify topics in this, and then you need to kind of try to see how can you provide value in this chain of things. Okay, it's gonna be hustle obviously, but what do you have to offer? Okay, it could simply be a single course. Actually, you have a podcast and you have a course,
Right.
and this course is literally you doing like 12 videos or something, charging 2,000 rupees, because this is a very niche and exclusive course that is actually interest of a premium elite class of people.
No, it's not
so
just elite. A lot of students they do because they want to get into this profession.
What I'm-
Like I have done this. I was not from elite class, and I'm still
not
not.
necessarily elite, as in, but they would be able to afford into something that is higher than.
Yeah, some people do it because they just have an interest. Some people do it. It's not actually only for the elite class. I don't think so.
Sorry.
It's changing in India.
Wrong about that. Okay, but what I'm saying is that you could price. You could take advantage of
It
knowing
is
your
expensive.
audience, and you could price this course quite heavily, and you could totally like do videos explaining this whole thing about wine, whatever you have knowledge about what you explain, and kind of what you learned in your past, and that could be something that you host online in a website like teachable.com or something like that. Dude, because
That's
what you
why-
have is legit. Okay?
Yeah.
It's you have credibility behind you, so that is something you totally have to take advantage of.
Yeah, of course.
And
I think I should start something, if not podcast, at least the more active on Instagram or on social
For sure.
media, some small videos, but then probably maybe
yeah,
with your guidance, maybe we'll start podcast
feel-
also in
I feel-
future,
I feel
or maybe
that-
YouTube videos.
I feel podcast is a very good gateway into content creation, because podcast is something you can get more comfortable with little easily, because there's no video involved and things like that.
Right.
Unlike this podcast has a video. But once you start a podcast, then you can introduce a video. You'll start promote, because you have a podcast. You'll start promoting it on Instagram. You'll start getting more active and things like that, and then you do that for a period of time, like 6 months or something, and then at the same time you plan out your course. What are you making a course about? And then may have a roadmap wherein you're enjoying your journey through podcasting, and by this, like, have a goal for some date where you have your course ready, and by the time you have your course, even if you have like 20 people listening to your podcast, you have someone that might be willing to buy
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay. So once you have it out, you might actually, because at the back of your podcast itself, you might get some purchases. Now, as you keep doing it, this is a hosted online content. You don't need to fucking, you don't need to service them physically, right? So this is gonna scale. So, and if it is actually interesting and things like that, you can actually you can make a living out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that answer your question on monetization?
No, I didn't ask for the monetization. I asked you that, do you think if a person just take it as a part-time thing, like you have some other stuff doing, you are making a living out of that, and then you're just doing a part-time podcast. How much effort? So my question is, how much effort goes into a podcast?
It is effort.
Yeah.
Okay, there are simple ones. For example, a pure Zoom call also can be a podcast. If you're just interviewing someone abroad, especially in the wine industry and all, you could actually tap into all these experts throughout the world. So you can simply do Zoom calls and edit it a little bit and put it out there as podcast. You can totally do that. It is definitely effort, bro. But it is something people generally pursue on the side. You need to have your own job and things like that. Okay, and you need to have your own job, and people usually generally they have an area of expertise anyways, and they kind of explore either an unexplored hobby or the same their area of expertise they explore it through podcasts. While at the same time, I would say today in the world of content, there is opportunity for full-time podcasters too, but provided you're willing to use do these other things like courses and whatever other some form of gated content or some services like consulting, something that you're able to sell online. And podcast is gonna be a good way for you to get people
I think
on.
I should seriously think about it.
Yeah. The other stuff, Airbnb and all that, why I mentioned is because it's very easy for you to get started with, because you have a credibility. One, they'll probably have a lot of questions asking and all that, and also it will immediately you'll get a taste of what it is like to make money online.
Right.
And it is a market. People, as I told you, people charge a lot for this.
I have been thinking about it, but it's just
You do
I'm
one
just
thing.
scared of doing it.
What you do is you take up an Airbnb experience.
Okay.
Take up one provided by some French dude
Right.
who's from the wine fields and all that. They'll have all these amazing glamorous things. I've taken up Airbnb experiences in person in Boston. It's beautiful. It was such an amazing experience for me. But I don't know how because I felt that just like I was totally happy with the quality of the experience, and it was on Airbnb. I don't know how it is online, but I think you would need to meet a certain standard, and you could learn about that by actually taking up one. But anyway, this is something you can explore. But the
I should
podcasting,
explore. I
yeah.
should, and I am interested. It's just killing your fear and then just going out in the open and then say, okay, I'm doing it, and let me see. Let's have a new experience. That's it.
Awesome. All right. Finally, any closing thoughts, and also where people can find you and what they want to reach out to you about.
My closing
learning
thoughts
about
is
this.
drink more wine. It's amazing. Drink good wines. Drink good spirits, and drink with knowledge. Don't drink just to get drunk.
Okay. Another thing, where can if they want to get in touch with you for your
Let me start my podcast and then we'll.
all right. Thank you very much, Gaurav. It was a good one, and
You can search me online. You will find somewhere.
I'll link it up. Have a good one. This is Sunset Cafe in Gokarna, and this is Middle Beach. We were staying at Tripper Hostel, which is just beside a very cool place. Check it out. All right.
Thank you. मेरे को पता था पौना